Today we're going to go over lesson 5, 6, and 5, 7. We're going to start with the triangle inequality theorem. And this is just a way to prove that you can make certain triangles work. So let's jump right in. The measure of the lengths, the measures of the lengths of any two sides of a triangle is greater than the length of the third side of the triangle. So, well, here's what's happening. They're going to give you three side lengths, and you're going to determine whether or not it makes a triangle. So, for instance, if you have a really long side and two short sides, you can see it doesn't form a triangle because the two little short sides don't touch. Now, we're not always going to be able to draw this out, so we need a way to do this without a picture. So, here's my just easy way of saying this. So in other words, to form a triangle, the two smaller sides must be greater than the third side. So I would circle or highlight this part right here because this is putting it in a very easy way that everyone can understand. So it's pretty easy. It has to be greater. Now, not greater than or equal. It has to be greater. So let's pick the two smaller sides. 8 plus 9. Is that greater than 18? So is 17 greater than 18? No. So does it form a triangle? No, it doesn't. And the explanation could just be your work because the two smaller sides is not greater than the big side. So let's add up the two smaller sides, 9 and 11, and you do have to show your work. That is your explanation. Is 20 greater than 15? Yes. So 2 plus 3, is that greater than 5? Again, a lot of people get kind of wigged out with this one because is 5 greater than 5? Well, of course, it's not. 5 is not bigger than 5. So this is a no. And again, you have to show your work. So two sides of a triangle have the measures or have the lengths of 8 and 17. Describe the length of x. Okay, so there's a lot going on here. We have three sides. We don't know one side. Now, I'm just going to show you the long way, and I'm going to show you the short way. Now, we have no idea if the x is the longest length, the medium length, or the shortest length. So you're going to have to write a range. The third side could be a range of things. So we're going to first say, well, if I have x and 8, it could be greater than 17. Now let's kind of scramble these up a little bit. And if I have 8 and 17, it could be greater than x. And let's do one more combination. 17 and x could be greater than 8. Now, one of these combinations is going to produce a negative answer. So we know that one can't work because the side of a triangle can't be negative. We all know that. So let's solve for x. If I subtract 8, x has to be greater than 9. And if I add these two together, 8 and 17, sorry, 25. So really, if I flip that around, x has to be less than 25. And I can flip this around. Notice the sign just flipped. Both times the little alligator mouth is open toward the 25. Now here's the problem. If I subtract the 17, I get a negative. Does it make sense that a side would be negative? Of course not. So that one's invalid. So if you do it this long way, one's always going to be invalid. I'm just going to get rid of it. Okay, so if we have a range, it has to be more than 9. It has to be less than 25. Now, we're going to write our answer as a compound inequality. So that means you're going to start with the smallest number. It could be 9. That means I need to flip this entire thing around. So that's going to be is less than x. Now, This x that's right here, I'm just going to kind of scoot this over and say, well, x is also less than 25. What I'm doing is I'm putting both of these together into one compound inequality. So there's actually a faster way of doing this. So way back in the beginning, when there was the 8 and the 17, I could say subtract those two numbers. And you immediately would say 9. And so you would write it down. And I would say add these two numbers. What's 8 and 17? And you would say 25. Now, what goes in the middle is always the same. You're always going to put the same thing in the middle. It's less than x less than, and you're finished. So this is actually very easy to do. And this, I'm just going to do like a side little example. So if I have x, 25 and 30, what's the range of the other side? So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to subtract them. And you're going to say 5. And then you're going to add them. And you're going to say 55. Now, x always goes in the middle, and the signs are always less than. So this is the range of the third side. The third side could be quite different, from anywhere above 5 and less than 55. So I hope that makes sense. Okay, moving on, we have the side angle relationships, big, big, small, small. So the largest angle of a triangle is across from the largest side. And the smallest angle of a triangle is across from the smallest side. Okay, so again, this is pretty big. This is pretty easy. Big side across is big angle. Small side across is small angle. And it works both ways. Now, what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to find this missing angle. So, how many degrees are in a triangle? Hopefully you're saying 180. So grab a calculator. Let's subtract all the other angles. So I have a calculator here. 180 minus 82 minus 44 is 54. Now let's look at the directions. It says list from the shortest to the longest. Now I'm listing sides. They give me angles, so you're going to do the opposite and you're going to tell me sides. So a lot of people goof this section up because they just list angles. Read the directions. You're listing sides. So that means you're listing 2 letters. And it says from shortest to longest. So you find the tiniest angle, the 44, the tiniest angle, and cross is RN or NR. It doesn't matter which way you say it. Now find the medium angle, 54, and across is RS or SR. And the biggest angle is 82, and across is NS or SN. Pretty easy, huh? So you find the small, look across. Find the medium, look across. Find the large, look across. That's all it is. So let's try the next one. Now, you do have to find the angle. So let's take 180 minus 53 minus 60. All right, so go. 180 minus 53 minus 60. And that is 67. So find the tiniest angle, which is P. I'm going to tell you a little shortcut. Now, if P, there's only 3 letters in a triangle, so if you're at P, you want the other 2 letters. So the other 2 letters of this triangle that aren't P are J and B. The medium angle is J, so what are the other 2 letters of that triangle? P, B. Now the biggest angle is B, so what are the other 2 letters of that triangle? P, J, or JP. So that's your answer. List the angles in order from smallest to largest. Okay, so guys, we have to find the missing side. So how do you find a missing side of a right triangle? We use Pythagorean. So x squared equals 3 squared plus 4 squared. Okay, so that's 9 and 16. So 25. So x is 5. And you probably could have guessed that was the biggest side. So we're going to go from smallest to largest. Now, again, you have sides, so you're going to tell me angles. So you put the angle sign and then the letter. So the smallest side is MQ. So the other letter you're not using is D. So you have to put the angle sign in front, angle D. Okay, so the next smallest, the medium, is the 4. So what letter are you not using? What's straight across? M. So angle M. And then process of elimination tells you the biggest, or we could do the math behind it. 5 is the largest. So the letter we're not using, or the one straight across, is angle Q. Example 3. You have a triangle with the following side lengths. List the angles of the triangle in order from smallest to greatest. Okay, so this is where the little hint of what's the other letter comes in handy. Some people just really like to draw it out. And your picture doesn't have to be to scale because we're going to just use the numbers. And so when you draw your picture, you can label it any way you like and just find where your MN is and label it 7. NS is 5. MS is 9. Obviously, not to scale. Okay, so I'm going to do it 2 ways. I'm going to do it using my shortcut and using the picture. So I'm going to list answers as angles because they provided side lengths. So I'm going from smallest. So the smallest side up here is the 5. So if I have the N and the S, what's the other letter I'm not using? It's the M. So you put the angle sign and then the M. Now let's see if I'm correct. What's opposite this 5? It's straight across and it's M. Yay. Okay, got it right. So let's do the next one. The medium is MN. Look over here. What letter am I not using? I'm not using S. So let's look here. Straight across is S. Good job. We got it right. Next one. Of course, MS is the largest. I look and say, what letter am I not using? That's N. MS is here. Straight across is N. Okay. Now, we're going to do the same thing, but now you're going to tell me sides. Again, I cannot tell you over the years how many people just list the given information in order. You always tell me the opposite. If I give you angles, you tell me sides. If I tell you sides, you tell me angles. Okay, ooh, that's not straight. Let's try again. All right, pictures not to scale. P, Q, R. P is 55. Q is 82. R is 43. Okay, shortest to longest. So the shortest, the tiniest one is 43. So straight across is PQ. The medium is 55. So straight across is QR. And your biggest is 82. So straight across is PR. And you're finished. Okay, so that's all for inequalities with one triangle. So now we're going to talk about inequalities with 2 triangles. Okay, so next is the Hinge Theorem. It's kind of like the door. So if 2 sides of a triangle are congruent to 2 sides of another triangle, and the included, remember included means it's the angle in between. The angle in between are not congruent, then the third side is always bigger when the angle cross is bigger. Now, guys, I know I probably jumbled that up, but it makes a lot of sense if you understood the last lesson. So let me show you. All right, so these two are equal to, let's say, these two. Oops, too many lines. There you go. Now, triangles have three sides, right? So I'm going to draw on the third side. Can we predict which one's going to have a bigger third side? Well, this angle here, let's call this one A and this one B. Angle B is a lot bigger, right? And angle A is smaller. So the side opposite, this side right here, is going to be smaller. And this side here, boy, my line's crooked. That side right here on the second triangle is bigger because the angle across from it is bigger. That's all it is, guys. So it's kind of like if you crack the door open a little bit at the hinge, it's open a little bit. But if you open the door all the way, the hinge is opened all the way. All right, so let's jump in. It'll make sense, I promise. It's an easy thing to do. Okay, example 5. Write an inequality relating the given side links. So what you're going to do is you're going to say, now I'm looking right here, AC and XZ. You're going to put a greater than, less than, or equal to in there. That's all you have to do. So find AC and find XZ, and you're going to look across. Always look across. Across from one is 75, and across from the other is 101. Of course, the 101 is bigger, so that means XZ is bigger. That's it. Now, sometimes they're going to really try to fool you. And I think this might be that one. Let's find out. All right, so here's this side, and we're trying to compare them. Now, if I look across, do I know anything about those angles? And I don't, do I? I mean, I know that this angle here is 51 and this angle is 44, but I don't know anything about the exact angle that's opposite. So they're trying to fool you. So what does it say to write if you can't figure it out? It says, if there's not enough information to reach a conclusion, write no conclusion. Okay, so we're not going to write anything out. And I'm okay if you just write NC, no conclusion. Now, I know this picture is intimidating. We'll work it out. What you're going to do is you're going to find two sides in common. So I see they both have a 17 and they both have a 13. Okay, so we're looking at the angle that's where the two sides meet, the included angle. So I'm looking at this angle and this angle. Okay, so which one is bigger? Well, we're going to look straight across. So this one across is 18. This one across is 12. So that means the one on the left has to be bigger. So 5x minus 10 has to be larger than, not 12, has to be larger than 45. So what I'm doing, guys, is I'm using these two numbers and I'm comparing them and I'm saying which one is bigger. Okay, so let's add 10 over. So 5x is greater than 55, so x is greater than 11. Let's see if we can figure this one out. Do they have two sides in common? Well, I see they both have an 18, and they both have a 15 in common. It's reflexive. So these two angles here, so I'm comparing these two. Which one is larger? Okay, is 3x minus 7 larger, or is 30 larger? And you can tell by looking straight across. So of course 9's bigger, so that means the 30 is bigger. So remember, the alligator always goes toward the bigger one. Okay, so let's solve this. Let's add 7 to both sides. 3x is less than 37, and this is not going to be a pretty number. Okay, so if I divide by 3, x is less than 12.3 repeating. Okay, now we're almost finished. Now it's just a bunch of kind of difficult looking problems, but we can make it through. Okay, let's find AEB. AEB, it's right there. And let's find the next one. EBD. Okay, so which one is larger? How do you tell? You look across. So 23 obviously is bigger, so that means angle B here has to be larger. So there. It's that easy. So it's just interpreting the pictures. Now we have AB and BC. So how do you tell which one is larger? You look across. Okay, so if you look across, which one's bigger? Obviously, the 79 is larger, so that means AB has to be larger. All right, next one. BC and ED. Okay, now this one is always a tricky one, and because you have to go back and remember old stuff. And of course, I don't do that well in my old age. All right, so we found out that this one is larger than this one, and we found that AB is bigger than ED. My brain is shutting down, guys. All right, so I know I'm looking across. Okay, so we found earlier that this angle was the largest, so I know this one is the biggest. So ED is the biggest. There we go. I got it. Now, we have one more. Now, this by now, usually everyone's turned me off, and they're like, yeah, I'm not listening. But you guys have to listen to this one because this one's on your test. I mean, they're all kind of like on your test, but this one really is on your test. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to find these two angles. And how do you do that? 180, and let's subtract away these two down here. Minus 61, minus 60, and I believe that is 59. And so on the right side, minus 65, minus 55. I believe that's 60. Hopefully I did my mental math correctly. Okay, which side is the shortest? Okay, now everything I've ever taught you is out the window because here's why. Everyone agrees that's the small side or smallest angle, right? So what's across from it? AC. But what happened if I said on the triangle on the left, find the biggest side? Well, wouldn't you say, well, 61's the biggest one, so that's the biggest side? So here's what it boils down to. You can't use the side that they share because you can't have the biggest side of one of them be the small side of the other one. So you have to use the runner up. Okay, so I'm just telling you, you're never going to pick this one. You're never going to pick this one, which means you're never going to be able to pick this middle one. Okay, so look at the other four choices, which is 59, 60, 60, and 65. Obviously, 59 is the smallest. So what's across? Across is DC or CD. So DC is your answer. Okay, so I hope you listened to that one because there's one like that on your test. All right, guys, I know I'm not here today. I hope you understood. You could always message me on Canvas, on Remind, come to my tutorial tomorrow, come before school, after school. There's so many resources. Make sure you use them. See you soon. Bye.